Kampfer. Is this a harem? I mean, the main character is surrounded by 4 chicks that have their hearts for him. Or her. Yeah, I'll get to that in a moment. So by my standards, this anime qualifies as a harem, and yet it ain't one. Maybe because the protagonist is for the most part of the show a girl, and then only one chick is into him. I need to explain a bit what is happening here. So Kampfer is a German wolf war fighter, and this anime has a standard battle royale premise, in which female warriors battle each other in a weird, unorganized, and frankly confusing tournament. So basically Queen's Blade, but without a clear purpose or ranking. A battle to the death, in theory, that almost never ends with casualties, which is good. I like these girls. They are hot, and should keep on being hot for a few more decades after the competition. But this ain't an all-female type of anime, oh no. Here comes the game changer. The protagonist, while a girl doing combat, is in fact some teenage boy that transforms into a Kampfer whenever there is reason to fight.
You will have to join the ranks and fight. You've now become an elite fighter, a Kampfer.
So we have a harem king that is also the main chick. Kinda confusing, but I like the idea. And to my surprise, it was executed tactfully. Even in a show like this, where fan service seems to be the main priority. You guys know me, I love Mr. Mage moments and fan service of any kind. Therefore I was excited to observe every single panty shot, swimsuit show off, and female skill shown onto the screen. And these girls have some beautiful features, beside their personalities of course. Kampfers can be divided into 3 main categories: Schwert, Zauberer, and Gewehr, which are basic German words for sword, magic, and firearms. I like how people pronounce German words in this anime, by the way. The voice actors clearly struggle with these words. It's a lot of fun to hear such variation of certain German sounds that I am more or less familiar with. Now, German anime have been kinda tied together for a long time now. Japanese people really like the sound of this specific foreign European language, as it is present in surprisingly many titles of the shonen genre. As I said before, these female fighters have 3 variations of abilities to use in a battle, and the protagonist seems to be a Zauberer Kampfer, given his fire magic capabilities. The anime itself starts with a fight sequence in which Natsuro Seno runs away from an opponent, while in female form, only to soon wake up and reveal his original body features. I gotta say, I like this idea of having the main character be a harem king and a girl at the same time. It gives me something to stare at, even when he is caught in his inner, boring monologues. This was a clever way of having the best of both worlds, as some of the girls are only interested in guys, while others prefer women. So Natsuru can basically enjoy all of them. The protagonist attends a high school that separates boys from girls, but that turns out to be less of a problem for him, as he has the ability to turn into a Kampfer and bypass any obstacle that would otherwise keep him away from the estrogen paradise. Also gotta mention this ancient animal that every Kampfer seems to possess. For Natsuru, the ancient tiger seems to be his partner, and the one that gives him the basics in performing his abilities as a Kampfer. Now, despite the slight of the ordinary premise, the anime falls into many harem cliché, or more or less follows the basics of the shonen genre. For example, Natsuru has a crush on one of his fellow female classmate, Kaede Sakura, who is the embodiment of purity and feminine beauty. Big eyes, long hair, slender and graceful body, and of course, the innocent good girl attitude she has going on for her. It turns out she's more or less faking her perfect personality later into the show, but I get to that a bit later, as it turns out to be an important aspect of the overall story. Coming to think about it, there ain't much of a narrative thread until the last few episodes. The show has an interesting premise, and some fun and colorful characters, but it fails to deliver a coherent storyline to follow, and mostly prioritizes comedy and fanservice. I like this as well. Not all shows need to follow a certain standard structure. I can enjoy something different, or even chaotic, as long as it keeps things fun and entertaining. Thankfully, Kampfer is just that. Obviously, it does try to incorporate action sequences as often as possible, but for most of the time, the way these females interact with each other seems to be at the center of the anime. Personally, I enjoy action titles that don't rely solely on physical conflict every single episode. Therefore, whenever Kampfer has an entry where most characters just talk and flow with each other, I just lay back and relax. You don't have to always incorporate exterior threats to further develop your characters. In this particular show, managed to deliver some thematic interactions between its female fighters without forcing them to give battle every single episode. Alright, let's be more specific in regard to Natsuro and his many girlfriends. As I mentioned before, the protagonist definitely is a win-win situation. He's the hottest girl in school, and the guy that gets all the females behind the scenes.
President.
This is how close we are.
This is terrific! Please be sure you play with She's a Cool whole bunch, okay, Natsuru?
Love this premise. I guess it is his height and bust size that makes girl Natsuro stand out. Also, her weight is pretty tight as well, so yeah, I can see her being popular even between girls. What a dream scenario, by the way, to get hugged and lusted over by other girls in school.
You're so tall! And your face is amazing to look at! Do you have a boyfriend? Or maybe a lucky girlfriend?
And to be able to stare at a mighty fine female body whenever I feel like checking the mirror. If I were him, I would take pictures while I bathe as a female. And then, when I turn back into male, okay. Kaede Sakura has a large collection of stuffed interest animal, series of dolls, and likes to present them to her friends. However, those who receive the dolls tend to end up becoming Kampfers, so it was obvious right from the beginning that despite not being a fighter, Kaede is somehow connected to this Kampfer competition, has a bigger role to play in the overall story, besides being one of the three beauties of the Saintetsu and Natsuro's dream girl fantasy.
Wow, Sakura, you look amazing.
A sort of a love triangle starts between the main character and Sakura. She begins to develop feelings for Kampfer Natsuro after being saved from Kampfer Akane at the beginning of the series and ignores male Natsuro completely. Kaede likes girl Natsuro, but hates his male form. So basically Selena Kyle loves Batman, but does not care about Bruce Wayne. If that wasn't confusing and puzzling enough, Kaede is also under the mistaken impression that the normal Natsuro is a rival for Kampfer Natsuro's affection. Trust me, this whole thing is pretty fun to watch. Sakura Kaede is a lesbian, and Naruto has to turn into a woman to be able to bang her. Akane Mishihima is pretty much the opposite of Kaede. While in her schoolgirl form, she has a visible crush on the protagonist.
Natsuru, are you going to take the lead?
Actually, I was hoping you could lead me on this instead.
But while in Kampfer mode, she is cold, arrogant, and even violent towards him.
Oh, listen! No matter what your hormones want you to do, don't ever go waltzing off with that cat burglar slut again!
While Akane transforms into a Kampfer, even her personality changes alongside her hair color. She tries to confess her feelings to Natsuro on many occasions, but being too shy and insecure, she misses her chances despite the fact that the main character does later tell her that if Kaede were not on his mind, Akane in her normal schoolgirl form would have been his type.
I guess I would say a girl like you would be my type.
Was really a fan of this girl, despite being voiced by my favorite female voice actress, Brittany Karbowski. She's very good in simultaneously creating distinct, believable personalities through her intonations. I really liked her work so far, and I do appreciate here as well. When it comes to Akane, I prefer her more energetic and determined Kampfer personality. What can I say? I have a thing for dominant women. Speaking of which, it's finally time to introduce the best waifu in the whole show, Shizuku Sango. She's also one of the three beauties of Saitetsu, and the president of the student council. And what a fine woman she is. I mean, my god. She has an amazing body, and a naughty dominant personality to go with it. She's also a Kampfer, Schwer type, and fights wielding two short daggers linked to a chain. At the beginning, she was presented as an opponent for the protagonist, but as the story progresses, her presence becomes more persistent. Shizuku is also starting to take an increasing romantic interest in male Natsuro. She starts to tease him with her demands, and even manages to steal his first kiss. All without losing her composure or demeanor. Just my type of woman. Body and spirit. But their little entanglement does not stop here, as Shizuku takes Natsuro out on a date.
Don't you think this makes us look too much like we're lovers or something?
Oh no. We don't just look it. We are on a date.
and even passionately kisses him in front of Kylie and the others. I love this chick. She's so forward and beautiful. She knows how to play rough. Maybe I like Shizuku so much because she reminds me of Saiko Busujima. Both brunettes with muscular, with feminine physique and dominant personalities. Just like in House of the Dead, I think the writers realized only later into the story how much potential the calm, calculated brunette has, and afterwards went overboard with her appeal.
Seems I won this round.
Amazing.
Alright, there's one more chick to mention, namely Natsuru's widely traveled, energetic childhood friend, Mikoto Kondo.
Hi, Natsuru! I bet you're leading a boring life like always.
She's the one I pay attention towards the least, but I do see her as an attractive and competent girl as well. Wouldn't go too much on her, as I am definitely on team Shizuku here, guys. I'm telling you, that girl is right next to Saiko Busujima, Akono, Moka, and Kurumi on my waifu list. I give Kampfer an encouraging 7.4 out of 10. This is an entertaining anime with a likable protagonist and one hell of a waifu.
It's quite simple, really. It's because all of you love Natsuru.